Alexa, stop.
Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Fleur, if you're new here. Normally I make ASMR around here, but today I'm doing things a little bit differently. Today I am going to talk you through how I make my ASMR videos from start to finish. I have my notes here, my laptop, and I'm going to be looking at that a lot because I often forget what I want to say and I have a lot of things that I want to talk about. But yeah, this video has been requested many times and I'm very excited and passionate about this, so I'm really excited to talk about it. I hope that it will be useful for my fellow curious people or creators or new creators or people who are wanting to start a YouTube channel. I just hope that this can inspire you or motivate you. So yeah, whether you are creating content or you want to create content, this one's for you. Personally, I don't always like every genre of video on YouTube to be an ASMR. I love watching videos like this where people talk about their creative process and talk about equipment and gear, but it's not the style of video that I like to watch in ASMR, so I won't be making it in ASMR. I hope that it'll still be somewhat relaxing and chill. The video isn't focused on relaxation, it's just about sharing information. First of all, I want to say with anything, you do you. You do not need any of the things or processes that I'm going to be talking about. This is just the way that I do it with the stuff that I have. I'm a little bit of an audio tech nerd, so I love that I have accumulated these things throughout the years. Because even though my channel exists for only a year, I've been doing video and audio stuff since I was 17 or something. So this is just what I've collected over the years and invested in. But to start making ASMR or YouTube videos in general, you only need 2 things. Okay, maybe officially 3, but you need a camera, which is on your phone. You need a microphone, which is also in your phone. So you just need your phone. And a genuine interest and desire to create videos, ASMR videos in this case. I really believe that regardless of any equipment that you have, your intention is what matters the most and what's going to keep viewers coming back to your channel and enjoying your content. So I would immediately say just show yourself and be yourself and show up online. And we all know that lo-fi ASMR is very popular for very good reason. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. If you're wanting to create and haven't started yet because you are, I don't know, maybe nervous about all the equipment and the things or the quality, give it a go, put out a video, see how you feel about it, and work from there. You don't have to do everything immediately, you know? Keep in mind that I am also still very much learning. Things aren't perfect, things don't have to be perfect. I also make mistakes all the time. I have recorded numerous videos that I have not uploaded because I had something in my teeth the whole time, or the audio wasn't connected, or the frame rates for video and audio were different, so I just couldn't sync up the audio and video, and I didn't have the skills to put them together. Or, you know, I've had to ask so many creators and musicians over time how certain programs work. I've watched so many tutorials on things, so you don't have to know everything, you know? And it's the fun part about being creative to me is the opportunity to mess up and learn and grow and develop. And seeing the difference between my first videos and now is very different to me. Seeing music related content that I've created in 2018 versus now is amazing. And that's growth and progress, and you don't get that if you don't try it out and fail and whatever. So yeah, I just don't want to come off preachy or like I have it all together and know everything so super well. I'm still definitely learning, but I do have some tips and tricks along the way that I would like to share with you if you are interested in it. So yeah, I'm not going to be explaining every single thing and how I do it, because I mean, I want to keep my own style, so I'm gatekeeping a little bit, but also I want to encourage you to use your own creativity and use your own fonts and thumbnails and way that you go about editing, etc. So I'll show you some things, but not everything. A little bit about me and my history with video creation and audio stuff. When I was really little, me and my brother would often make videos together. So at our grandma's house, she would whip out the camera and we would make the most bizarre videos. My brother is also a videographer now, so that's really funny. And I've had multiple YouTube channels as a teenager. I think that many of us will relate to that. I privated all of them back then. And when I was 16 or 17, I started posting music on YouTube and on Ultimate Guitar. And that's where it was the first time for me that a platform kind of grew and I started to build a bit of a community. And that's kind of where I started learning about video and audio. I know a little bit about music production, working with vocals, etc. I think that somewhere along that period, the audio nerd in me was born. I don't know, it's something that all of us in our family are really passionate about and interested in, and how everything works, etc. So it's been really fun to explore all of this. And I'm really excited to tell you about what I use and how I do it and what my filming process is like. So let's start. I also asked you to ask me questions on Instagram, so I integrated those into the topics as I go along. The first part is planning and inspiration. So where do I get my inspiration? How do I schedule my content? I think that the biggest source of inspiration to me is other creators and a genuine love for ASMR. I'd been watching ASMR videos for about 8 years before I actually started creating it. If you can't hear, my voice is very croaky, but I really love it, and I watched it so much and I really know what I like to watch, and so that's the type of content that I make. So I do a lot of guided meditations myself. I love watching creative things. I love book content, lifestyle content, just what you would see on a regular YouTube channel. And I don't know, sometimes I see other creators post something and I take inspiration from segments of their videos, so maybe like a trigger or a theme, something that they touch on in the video, which inspires me to give my own spin on it, to it, I don't know. But when I have an idea, I will... Has that light been flickering this whole time? If I have an idea, I will put it in my notes app, so I have this huge list in my notes app of all my video ideas. Sometimes I ask you for requests. I have kind of series of style of videos that I do. So my trigger videos, my girl talks, guided sleep meditations, those are all recurring things. So sometimes I grab from those. My monthly reading wrap up, so that's kind of how an uploading schedule fills itself sometimes. And I try to balance that out so that I don't have 3 trigger videos in a row or 3 guided meditations, and also just what I'm feeling like in the moment. I try to plan a little bit, but not too much. So I have a couple videos in a month that I know that I want to upload, and then the rest is just, you know, whatever comes to mind. I do have an uploading schedule, so I upload on Sundays, and I have a Patreon where I post 3 videos a month. I don't have set days for that because I wanted to relieve the pressure for myself on when to upload. I try to do that like every week or every other week, but it really just depends on how much I have going on. And I try to mix recording, regular video, Patreon video, regular channel video, Patreon video, so that I don't have too much of channel content and no Patreon content, you know what I mean? So I try to be a little bit mindful about when I plan things. It's hard to film here where I live, so I have to schedule when I film, which is the biggest downside for me currently, with the fact that ASMR is a genre that requires a lot of quiet. So I often go to my parents' house, or I film on Sunday mornings because stores open later here in the city, and it's a lot more thinking. And the thing I love about making ASMR at home is that when I just feel in the mood to make ASMR, I can go make ASMR. And here I'm kind of limited in that, so I've had to schedule that a little bit more. But I really stick to Sunday uploads, and then if I can upload more, I'll upload on Wednesdays. And I try to be very consistent in those days and at a specific time, just for algorithmic reasons. So when I have a video concept ready in my head, usually I will just sit down and film, but some videos I do script. So often my guided sleep meditations are scripted because I have to get into a little bit of a meditative mindset, if you will. And when I'm recording, I'm just not, because I'm very focused on all the sounds. So when I am in the right headspace, I write out keywords for the meditation that I want to guide. And then when I record, I really do it in segments, so that I have the most quiet surroundings as I could possibly have in my living situations. For this video, I kind of scripted it. I have a lot of bullet points with notes and what I want to touch on. If I make like a book video or something, sometimes I'll have notes on what I want to say about the books, but the majority of things just are off the top of my head, which sometimes I look back and I'm like, oh, I wanted to add this and this and this, but I've really made peace that I will never be able to say exactly what I want to say, because it's just, when I'm sitting here talking, I'm focused on my breath, on my speaking volume, on my camera, is everything in focus, on my notes. Like, I'm doing a lot more mentally than just talking to someone, so it'll just always be slightly different for me. But that's just how I am. Maybe that's a thing of getting used to it more. But it will just always be very different than actually talking to a person, you know. About timing, when I film my videos, I usually film in the morning, because that's when it's the most quiet and when I have the most energy. If I'm really tired, as you guys know, I'm recovering from burnout still. I have a couple of things that I still struggle with, and one of them is that when I'm really tired, I start fumbling over my words. And you guys have seen this in my videos plenty of times, where I'm really just messing up words or skipping words. It's just because my brain is full, and that's okay. But it is why I prefer filming in the morning, because it's just when I'm most, you know, present. So that's what I prefer. And I have to be in a good headspace to film, especially this type of content. Really, for me, it feels the best when I'm present and calm, and when I'm not, it doesn't feel right. I've also definitely deleted videos before uploading where I was like, I'm just not relaxed, and you can tell that I'm kind of going through something right now, and I'm kind of projecting that, or I don't know. I have to be in a good headspace to film, and if I'm not, I won't. Okay, let's talk about equipment. This is the part I'm most excited about, so let's get into it. I gathered everything that I want to show you in this crate. If I don't have the item here right now, I will insert photos, and I will put a list in the description box of my equipment list, so you can browse through that if you want anything. Once again, reminder, you do not need any of this, okay? What do I use? What you're looking through right now, or what I'm looking at right now, is my camera. I am using the Nikon Z30 camera, and on it is a 50mm lens with an aperture of 1.8, which is my favorite type of lens. I wish that this was a zoom lens, but you know, it's fine. It makes the background so nice and blurry. It's an amazing quality lens. I really like it. And a different one that I have is a 16 to 15mm lens. Me hyping up this camera and it not focusing. This is the lens. This is a zoom lens. So DX 16 to 50, and that's the Nikon Z 50mm lens. Okay. Then where I film most of my videos on is my trusty old iPhone 13 Pro. I love the Pro because it has amazing camera quality. It has 3, as you can see, which is very confusing. I never know which one to look in, but let's ignore that. When you film on this one, if you film on your phone and you want to improve the quality, I recommend filming with the back camera and using cinematic mode, because it can make the background blurry, which is phenomenal. I'm sorry about the flickering lights, but usually I just film in selfie mode. So I have a couple different tripods to talk about. The one that I'm currently using is just an old ring light stand, actually, but it has a mount for my camera, so I'm using that. It's really at its end. Like, it wobbles a lot, actually. So I'm trying very hard not to move my feet so that the floor doesn't like make the camera bounce around. But you know, we're working with what we've got right now. And then I have 2 octopus stands, and these are my favorite tripods in the world. They're by Studio ME. This is the 25 centimeter one, and this is the 32.5 centimeter one. It's called the extra large. As you can see, there's a slight difference. It comes with a holder for your phone, and I really love it. You can mount it on the bottom or on the side, depending on your preference, and you can attach your camera to it. I find myself mostly using this for my phone and this one for my camera. If you want to invest in just one, I would definitely recommend this one. It's very firm. I love an octopus tripod because you can mold it to how you want it. So if you want to play around with different video angles, like I have the back of my chair here, and I could just attach my camera to the back of the chair if I would want to. It gives you a lot of creative liberty, and I really, really like that. So highly recommend, absolutely love. Would buy again. Then I have just a regular mic stand, which I use for a different microphone that I have and for my music, etc. And then I have a boom arm, and I'll insert a clip of what a boom arm is and what it looks like, but you can attach it to a flat surface, so a table or a chair. I currently have it attached to a chair so that I can record videos sitting on my couch. And you can pull it out, pull it up, pull it down. You can attach your microphone to it, and it just is amazing to relieve any additional noises that might happen when you have the mic on your table, which we'll get into later, but I love it so much. For microphones, I probably would not be an ASMR creator if I did not use this microphone. I'm kidding, but this is the one that I use the most, and it is the Blue Yeti USB microphone. A lot of ASMR creators have this one. It's an amazing, solid, easy to use microphone, very accessible. Not too expensive, worth the investment if you make ASMR. Even if only to enjoy creating your own content, like for your own enjoyment, it's such a nice crisp mic for ASMR, so I really love it. Another one that I have and sometimes use on and off, really depends, is the SE2200. And this is a studio microphone that I mostly have for singing. But sometimes I'll make ASMR with this one. It's a really, really beautiful microphone. Would recommend it to any musician, truly, or ASMR creator. If you're looking for just a condenser mic, you can use two and do binaural stuff. I only have one currently. I hope to get a second one in the future, but for now it's just this. And then the mic that I'm currently using is the Rode Wireless Go 2 mics. They are relatively new. So much so that I recorded this whole video yesterday and the gain was too high, so I just wanted to re-record it because I'm talking about audio stuff and I wasn't content with the audio, so. They're relatively new, but I really like the microphones. I think that it will also give me a lot of creative liberty if I want to talk about outfits or do a bookshelf tour or make ASMR vlogs and talk to you on the go. I only have used it in a Patreon video, plugging my Patreon, go sign up, join us. For $3 you get 3 extra videos a month. But I really love it, and I do see a lot of potential in the microphone, so I'm just testing them out. And yeah, I'm really enjoying them. And then I have a lavalier mic that is very much worth mentioning. It is the Pixel Flinch mic, I believe it's called, and this is what it looks like. For a lavalier mic, it has quite a big, like it's relatively large for just a lavalier mic. Let me take this off. This is what it looks like. It has a really, really long cord and very sturdy material, and it has a lightning jack, so if you film on an iPhone, this is so easy to use and plug in. You can clip it on. I've used this a couple of times on my channel. I'll insert some videos where I have used it that you can check out if you want to check out the audio quality. I did not edit the sounds in those videos at all, so it's just the audio straight from the mic. But yeah, I really like using that one if I want to go a little bit more lo-fi. But those are the microphones that I have, and mostly just my Blue Yeti. I have 2 of them. I have a white one, which is at my parents' house, and I have this black one here for when I'm filming here. Then I have a shock mount for the Blue Yeti, which I also really love to use. I honestly really dislike the stand that the Blue Yeti comes in because it just, I don't have the English language for what I want to describe. the terminology, but I really don't like the sound that comes through if you accidentally bump the mic on the mic stand. I really love a shock mount. I mostly use my boom arm, and that one doesn't need a shock mount, but I could use one as well. If you want to look more into shock mounts and what they could do for you, I'd recommend watching other videos. And then I also have a shock mount for the SE2200, but it came with it, so like I don't need to mention it, I think. For my Blue Yeti microphone, I have a fluffy mic cover. I currently cannot find it. I do not know where it went. But if you just Google fluffy microphone cover or any microphone covers, you'll find ones that are similar. And I really like that one to, especially if I'm closer to the mic, to mute out any breathing noises or just, I don't know, fluff the mic, you know, as a trigger. I would really recommend getting one. To record with your Blue Yeti on your phone, which you can do directly, you do need an adapter. So, like I said, it's a USB microphone, so it has a USB port. And so I have this adapter from Apple. I did go with Apple because I've used ones that were off-brand before and they just sometimes disconnect midway through filming. That's what my experience was like, so I decided to invest in the real one. This has a USB port and a lightning port, so you can charge it and record at the same time. You can literally just plug this in your phone, plug in the microphone, and it will start recording the audio when you hit record on something, so video or voice memos. And for my laptop, because I only have USB-C ports, I have this USB-C adapter, which has an SSD port and a USB port as well, which I really need for importing my footage. But I also have just this USB-C to like multiple USB ports adapter and an SD card. You just never know. And then for my SE2200, that's an XLR microphone. If you do not know what that is, that means that this bottom has 3 pins like this. And it does not go into a computer. It's actually very uncommon for microphones to go directly into your computer and work through USB. I can also definitely argue that audio quality will just immediately be different and much better if you use XLR microphones over USB microphones, which is exactly why the Blue Yeti is a special microphone, in my opinion. But I think that musicians will agree with me that XLR is just always going to be better. But to record that, I need an interface, because you can't just plug your microphone into your computer. It has to go through an interface, so a lot of people use a mixer. I use interfaces because it's just easier for me. I use the Scarlett Solo USB by Focusrite. I love this thing dearly. I can plug in one microphone and one instrument, so I'll often plug in my guitar. But I also have, I got this off of Marketplace one time, it's the Focusrite Scarlett i2i. You can plug in 2 microphones in this one, 2 XLR microphones. So if I were to make traditional binaural ASMR with 2 XLR microphones, I would have to use this one, so it can pick up both of the microphones. I really like both. I just like that the Scarlett Solo is so light and easy to bring along. It's a bit more clunky, but both very good. For my laptop, I have the 2020 MacBook, a 13-inch one with the M1 chip, and I have 16 gigabytes of RAM and 1 terabyte of SSD, and I love it so much. The workflow is so nice and smooth and quick, and I have so much storage. For lighting, not entirely unimportant, I have this one new MOA clip-on light, which switches on like this, and you can make it cool and warm or neutral, and it's a very, it's really the beauty, like the get ready light. And sometimes I'll clip it onto the viewfinder of my camera, and sometimes I will clip it on my phone. I usually use this when I have my phone. It's a relatively small light, so I feel like I have to be a lot more mindful of where I place it and position it. I like frontal light the most, but sometimes that doesn't entirely work. I have another ring light, which is a very inconvenient one, and I would not recommend at all, but the quality of the light itself is okay, but it's at my parents' house. so I'm not going to be talking about it. You guys know what a ring light is, I think. And then this one I get a lot of questions about. This is a sunset lamp, and it's the one that makes the colors in the background all nice and vibey. And this is by the brand Zedar, and I got it for my birthday for my best friends. I love using this. It's such a staple to have in your backgrounds. If I have an electricity socket near me and I can plug it in, I will. But yeah, this is what I use and I love it. Then for storage, I do need an external hard drive because the video files are very large. If you record videos, you will know it takes up a lot of storage. So I have an external hard drive. This is by yeti and I really love it. This is 2 terabytes. So I think I'm good for a while. I'll talk more about what I store on here when we get into editing. But I really love this thing. It's very sturdy, and I got a new cable because it was one of those hard drives where if I moved my laptop slightly, it would plug out, and it would it's such a hassle sometimes. So I got a new cable and now we're good. And I also have an SD card, which is in my camera, and that is 128 gigabytes. I had a 250 one, but it broke on me, so all the footage from that card is gone. Even the person in the tech store could not help me, so that was a shame. And the only one they had in stock was this one, so it's a little bit less storage, but it's still plenty to film. And then to record my audio, I use 2 things. It is either the Voice Memos app on my phone, or I use Logic Pro on my MacBook, and that is audio software. It's expensive though. I'm using my friend's account for it, but I would really make the investment. It's such a nice program, and I really love it for music as well. And then for video editing, I use Final Cut Pro, and we're going to get into all that later. So we've talked about how I plan and prepare for my videos and what stuff I use, so I think it's time to talk about the setup when I actually want to film. I have a couple things that I find important when I'm trying to film. So first of all, the location has to be cozy, non-negotiable, or at least tidy. I love it when the light is a little bit dim, like this is actually my perfect lighting, or even darker and more sleepover vibes. The purpose of my channel is to offer an online safe space where you can just chill and hang out, and where we can talk about anything and everything. And that's the most important part to me. So with any form of content I make, I want it to have that vibe of we're just hanging out. And I feel like the setting does add to that a lot. So I love having my bed in the background because it's cozy, or a chair, or like orangey lights, or these fairy lights that you can't really see that well because I have a window open, so there is daylight coming in. But I love lights like that, or my sunset lamp to add a vibe. I try to be in frame in this way. Sometimes I'm a little bit lower or higher, depends on my setting. I try to be in the middle of the frame. It's not necessary to be further away, so I feel like shoulder height is the perfect height for ASMR videos. I try to not wear anything off shoulder because that's when you look naked and you get community guideline stuff. I try to have the mic in the screen when I make ASMR, but not too much. So it really depends on what I can do with the surface that I'm working with. But I'll often have it something like this, and I can still move around, but it's not like my mouth is blocked by the mic, you know, for the camera, so that you don't see my mouth moving at all. I try to not do that. Sometimes I still do because, like I said, I'm also not perfect, and sometimes I just think, who cares? It really depends on how much trouble it is to move the camera around, find a better angle. Sometimes you just want to go ahead and film and you just start filming. I don't know what that's like for you if you create ASMR, but sometimes it's like that for me. Somebody asked what settings I use for my microphone, so let's get into that for a bit. I'm gonna just talk about the Blue Yeti because it's what I use the most, and I think that a lot of people have the most questions about that. So this is the back side, just the part that you as a viewer often see, which has the on and off button and a volume button. I try to have the volume relatively low. That is because I record with earplugs in mostly. I use the regular schmegular Apple AirPods with the headphone jack, like this. In my opinion, these are just the best ones to plug into a Blue Yeti. The sound quality is just great for yourself when using these. And if you have the volume really high, the mic is going to pick up the sound from you and from your headphones as well, and that's going to create a lot of weird stuff. We don't want that. And this is the side that I'm talking into. So the front side, I guess then, which has a gain button and the mic settings. So it has a binaural setting, omnidirectional, so all around, a frontal, I don't know if that's like the official word for it, but frontal setting, and the back and front. So that's kind of like for a podcast, if we were to talk, you would talk into this and I would talk here. This is a 3-capsule microphone, if you did not know. I really recommend looking up a video where they just take this thing apart so you can see. But if you take this off, you will see that here is a mic facing this way and it looks like this. And here there are 2 mics that are stacked up on each other, and they are kind of facing, so these are the mics, and they kind of face like this, so slightly outward, which is what creates that binaural effect. And they have a rubber little shock mount around it on all 3 microphones. And so if I were to talk into the microphone, the mics are kind of like this for me, so I can talk in this ear and in this ear. But if I were to go closer to the mic, the sound just doesn't really hit the microphones. You're kind of talking into the rubber of the shock mounts, if that makes sense. So I really recommend when you're using the Blue Yeti, first of all, it's meant to be talked into like this. I see a lot of videos where people talk into the mic like this. You're also talking into the rubber when you do that. I get it because this is what traditional microphones are used. Like, this is the way that you use a regular microphone. But that's because the microphone in that microphone is like, do you know what I mean? Like, it actually picks it up from the top. And here it's from the sides. So also when you do binaural ASMR, which is something that I still find really hard to get right with this mic, because you can't see through into the mic. You don't have to move that far to the side of the mic, because then you'll just talk past the thingies. So the thingies, such good lingo. So you don't have to move that far at all. If you record handheld, I recommend trying very actively not to move your hands. For me personally, it ups the quality to not do that, because the sounds that these mics make from the inside, like, it picks up through the mic, obviously. I personally do not love that in ASMR when you hear that a lot, of like the moving around. It's the same when you have the Blue Yeti stand and your cables are kind of hitting the mic stand as you move around. It just happens. Like, I have that too, quite often actually, but for me, I try to edit it out when I can, and I think you can really improve the quality of the ASMR experience by trying to be mindful of those sounds. If you want to get rid of a lot of sounds that the mic stand might make, or when you have it on the table and you move something on the table, it sounds very loudly because, like I said, the mic stand picks up the sounds through it as well, which is why I don't love the mic stand in the first place. But I really recommend putting a towel on your desk if you are filming at a desk or a table. Putting a towel or maybe a blanket or a pillow underneath and putting the mic on there. It'll just get rid of so much of that noise. So I really recommend doing that. Often when I do get ready with me, I'll have a blanket or, like I said, a towel on my desk. I'll have my mic on there and I will have my makeup kind of spread out on the table. But on the towel, so when I grab this stuff, it doesn't sound so harsh in your ears. That's stuff that I really recommend. Other ways that you can play with the microphone settings is using the bidirectional settings, so the interview mode, I guess. If you are doing a show and tell, so if you want to make sounds here and then show it to the camera and make the sounds, you can have the microphone pick up that side, of the sounds that you're making, so it's not as muffled when you're moving it back and forth a lot. It's something fun to play around with. I really like using that when I am not in frame and I'm showing something on a table. I haven't done that in a while, but that's when I would use that setting. If you get a lot of feedback, so kind of like that buzzy noise when you are recording, 9 out of 10 times something is not fully plugged in, or you have your device too close to you. So maybe you have a laptop near you that's open and running, or you are filming on your phone and it's too close to the mic. It'll start giving feedback or just make annoying noises. So I would recommend just moving it a bit further, check if it works. Also just make a little test clip before you record in general is so nice, so you can just see if everything's working properly. The distance should get rid of all the feedback. For soundproofing, I know that a lot of professional ASMR artists have studios, etc. I do not. I can record in my friend's studio, but it costs me money to rent out a studio, and I'm trying not to invest in that right now, but try to film in quiet moments. I cut out loud traffic noises, dogs barking, etc. Oh my god, the dog barking. But if you want to get rid of any additional white noise, the one extra tip that I have is to unplug things from in your room. So because electricity sockets make a lot of buzzy white noises, and unplugging those can really help. Closing windows, closing doors and windows in other rooms so the sound doesn't get through. Closing curtains, etc. should at least in some way help you a little. So when I am done preparing and my setup is ready and I'm in my place, I make sure that I am not too shiny or sweaty. Sometimes I'll wear makeup in videos, sometimes I won't. It really depends on the mood. But like I said, I want to show up as a friend online. That's really my intention and purpose of the channel. So I do sometimes consciously decide to not show up with makeup. I wear cozy clothes when it's a video that is really centered around sleep. I'll purposefully wear a hoodie or pajamas or something cozy to add to the vibe. And those are also fun ways in which you can play around with your setup, is you yourself. So the jewelry you wear, the clothes you wear. I try to wear less jewelry when I'm doing sleep related content, only like if it's for a trigger. But if I'm going to bed, I'm not wearing a lot of jewelry. So you know what I mean? Like I try to add to the ambiance by the way that I'm showing up. And of course the nails have to look at least clean when I'm filming. Sometimes they look a little bit crusty, and that's when I decide to not do a trigger video. It's just a personal preference that I do want them to at least look tidy when I'm filming. Once I am all ready to film, the one thing I do when I start recording, well, I do a couple things when I start recording. First of all, I'm quiet and awkward for a little while before I start, because sometimes I'm a little bit camera shy and I have to get into it. It's more so with these videos where I don't whisper. I don't know, I just get a little bit camera shy, so I need to kind of get into it. And then to help myself in editing later, the most important thing I do before I start filming, especially when I'm recording audio and video separately, is that I clap. And then when I'm in editing, it's very easy to sync up the audio and video audio together so that my mouth is moving at the same time as you hear my words. So using Final Cut Pro to edit, I will talk a little bit more about my importing and exporting process later, but this is Final Cut Pro. This is where I edit all my videos. I have a couple things that I do want to share with you. The way that I make cuts in my videos I think is kind of important to mention, because it's ASMR and people often watch this when they are trying to sleep or they're overstimulated or etc. I try to be conscious of the way that I make cuts, in that I do not want to give anyone any sort of jump scare, if you will. It won't be a big jump scare either way, but if I make a hard cut, I try to make sure that my head is still in the same place in the next cut, so that I'm not like this in one cut and then like this in another, or here in one cut and then here in another, because that makes people unrelaxed. So I try to be consistent in that. And if I do change positions, I will use a cross dissolve transition, which is in the corner. There are a bunch of options for transitions, and I usually use the crossfade one or the fade to color at the beginning and the end of my videos. So that's that. There's also a effects filters type of section on Final Cut Pro, and I usually pick some filter that I like. I love it when the video is a little bit warmer, because it to me just adds to the coziness and sleepy vibes. So I will often pick either a filter, or I will go into the sidebars and change around the saturation and etc. Then I do a tiny little bit of audio editing. I use an equalizer to get rid of any additional white noises sometimes. If I'm on Logic Pro, I will do it in Logic Pro, but it took me a long time to figure it out in Final Cut. So thank you, Haley Jean, for helping me out with that. Shout out, girl, love you. That really changed the game for me. If the white noise is really bad, I'll actually make a compound clip below. I can combine the clips together to make one file. I'll always do that once I've synced up the audio and video. But if I am not content with the compression of the white noise, I will make another compound clip and redo my equalizing. So once I have edited my video, it's time to export it in the corner, and that's where we get into my hard drive. I have my hard drive sectioned off into ASMR content, regular YouTube content. I have a Final Cut Pro library running through my hard drive because it just takes up a lot of storage and it will automatically make copies of all the video files. So you can imagine that if it's 7 gigabytes to film a video and it's on my hard drive, and it also makes a copy, that's a lot of storage, and then also a finished product. So you easily, for every video file that you have 3 times the amount of storage needed when working with Final Cut Pro, etc. It depends on the way that you go about these things. I often delete my backup media, but my ASMR folder is interesting. I think I have a couple. I'm very organized in this. One of the very few areas in my life where I'm very organized. But I have a folder where I have my overlays that I use in my videos. I have some business stuff, so that's usually just influencer agreements or other things like that. And then I collect my raw footage, my completed videos, my custom videos, and my Patreon videos, all on my hard drive. So that's how I organize everything, and then I upload to YouTube. Okay, so for the sake of being realistic, we're sitting on my bed because honestly, I usually just edit on my bed. I love sitting in bed with my laptop. I have the Sony M4 microphones that I have for daily use, but I also use them to edit and just sit here, usually in pajamas, let's be real, and just edit my little videos and upload them. When I exported my files and it's all ready to go, I do want a final check through my QuickTime media player in case I have to go back and make any last changes, and then I go to YouTube and I upload my video. And like I said, I have an uploading schedule, so I will very often upload my video and just schedule it in for later. So I will drag a file onto the uploading platform. I will pick out the thumbnail that I have created. I create all my thumbnails through Canva, and I use Visco for any coloring things that I need. I'm not going to show you exactly how I make my Canva thumbnails, but I do have one folder in Canva where I have all my thumbnails just, I don't know, chilling. And I can just copy the base of that thumbnail and use the same font, change the colors, play around with the background a little bit, and then I save that to my computer and I add it to the video. If I would recommend any program to make anything right now, it would be Canva. You can do so much there. I think you can even edit your videos through Canva. It's an amazing platform, it's very affordable. And yeah, I just really enjoy using it, so I would highly recommend. When the video is ready, I usually have a title and a description box already in my notes app. After recording, I will usually write that down, or before. Sometimes I'll timestamp it, but you guys know that I often forget to do that. Sometimes there's a there's a half timestamped something in my description box just because I started and I didn't finish it. I just forget. I'm sorry. I'm really bad at this part, honestly. I mean, there's no good or bad, but I could be better. I would sometimes add videos to playlists, use hashtags, which I really recommend doing, add information cards for other videos to refer to. I so often forget. I don't know. It just happens. I do have a standard description box with all the information that is useful, I think. to have on every video. So my Patreon, my social media, some hashtags that I'll always have. And then when I upload, it's time to choose. I usually upload it as scheduled for a set date and time. And sometimes I will just private them. And that is for my Patreon or YouTube memberships videos. Once it's time for the video to go live, I'm usually lurking in my YouTube studio app to make sure that nothing's wrong with the audio or there isn't something that I looked over. Just so I can troubleshoot or like delete or private the video within the first hour, which I really enjoy doing, and of course interacting with everyone and seeing how the video is doing. But usually that takes a couple hours before people have actually seen the video, you know, and comment on it. So it's mostly for troubleshooting. And then the video is yours and I do this process over again and I love it so much. Then I have a couple of tips and tricks for newer channels, new creators, or if you are just looking for some new inspiration. Most of all, as I've said before, you don't need all of this. Just the joy of making videos and experimenting with new things and triggers and stuff around your house that you can use to create the content that you want to make. I think at the end of the day, it's about you and who you are as a person, and not even necessarily the triggers that you do or how well you have soundproofed your space or how good you tap on that one item. You know, I know that those are all things that make ASMR, but it's the person who people return to. I don't know, show them who you are, you know? Another one, very important one, I believe, is work with the algorithm and be consistent. So I really recommend scheduling content, having like backup videos that you can put out if you want to grow a channel. It takes time and patience. It just really does. I got really lucky and I'm very privileged to have had my channel grow in the way that it did. Being consistent, being patient, and engaging with your audience will make it so sustainable and long-lasting, I believe, because if you have 20 subscribers, instead of focusing on the fact that you still do not have 30 subscribers, investing that time and energy in those 20 subscribers, it's really, it goes for everything, but it's really focusing on what you have instead of the things that you want or don't have or still need to get. Like, you have a community, that's beautiful, and if you can help 2 people with the content that you're making, that's phenomenal, because that's 2 people. For me, it really changed a lot because I now have a bigger platform, so now I'm talking to a lot more people, but I really loved the time where I also just got 10 views and like 1 person commented. I was like, oh my god, this person took the time out of their day to comment on my video. These people are sitting down and choosing to watch my content. That's amazing. So enjoy that, like really enjoy that, because you know there are so many people who do not even start a channel and have so much to say, and you're doing it, you know. And if you are about to do it, you have a voice, you deserve to be heard. Go show up, you know. And it doesn't have to be anything big. You could just sit down and do triggers and not talk, but you'll still help people with that. People love watching that. Then another tip that I have for smaller channels or beginning channels, I would recommend waiting until you start a Patreon or a YouTube membership option. I'm saying this because I do see a lot of channels starting Patreons. I see a lot of potential in so many channels. And if you aren't monetized yet and you want to make a little bit of extra money, or you want to have a little closed off community to post videos, that's amazing and it's a really nice way to do it. But odds are that it will take a long time to grow an audience on Patreon. I would personally invest that time and energy that I would be putting into Patreon videos with a smaller community into YouTube videos and building that consistency and finding your style of content that you love. If you're still figuring out like, what do I want to do, how do I want to present myself, YouTube is just the best place to fuck around and find out, you know. If it's just, it starts as a hobby, you know, for the majority of us, and life gets in the way, you stop uploading for a while, it happens. It's nice to not have a Patreon where people pay out of pocket for your content. So if you notice that happens a lot, I would really recommend investing the time and energy that you have for making ASMR to make ASMR for your channel, so that people can actually meet you and get to know you. And when you have a close community and multiple people are starting to ask for maybe a Patreon or for extra content or whatever, that's, for me, would be the time to consider a Patreon. I waited until I had around 40,000 subscribers till I started a Patreon, just because I wanted to be sure that I could do it and have those 3 extra videos a month. And sometimes it does take away from the amounts of uploads that I can do on YouTube. But I do have a large enough community on Patreon now that it is financially beneficial to me. But I think that if you're starting your channel and you want to get monetized, AdSense is going to bring you a lot more than Patreon. And that's just the truth. I would recommend just putting that time and effort and energy and inspiration and creativity, pour it into your YouTube channel, and then see, do I want a Patreon? You could start a Patreon and build up an archive of videos, you know, but I would personally recommend waiting a little bit until you start that. It might be controversial, I don't know. It really depends on what your needs are and what your desires are as a creator. You make the rules, it's your place, but just do with that info what you will. Also for channels who are just starting to get monetized, especially in the Netherlands, I don't know what it's like in the US, but once you get paid, set aside some of the money for income tax. Thank me later. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I have had so much help with all of this from so many other creators, musicians, people around me. My brother was a really, really big help. And it's taken me a long time, you know, to learn all these things. And like I said as well, it's the fun of learning is to mess up and learn other ways and different ways to do things. And I love figuring out YouTube and the algorithm and how can I be, you know, strategic about stuff. Also, how do I want to show up online? I will also say, make sure that you maintain your privacy and find things that work for you. I have had a couple of privacy issues since starting my channel. Like making yourself anonymous on some social media platforms might work for you, or being more anonymous on YouTube might be more comfortable. I have an Instagram where I'm pretty active, but that also means that people can send direct messages. And I know that sometimes people also comment on my YouTube like, hey, I don't have access to your Instagram anymore. That's because you are probably blocked. It might not be anyone's intention to make me feel uncomfortable or unsafe with DMs that they are sending me. But you are coming into my space and I make the rules, and I do not owe anybody anything. The second I feel slightly uncomfortable, so I feel sexualized, harassed, or just I feel like someone is getting too personally attached to me and being invasive on my privacy and telling me things about my life. I've had people say very out-of-pocket things to me. Sometimes people say the wrong things and that's okay, like it's not an instant block, but the second someone makes me feel really uncomfortable or whatnot, you're just going to be blocked because it's my space and I make the rules. And I don't owe anybody anything, and I want you to remember that as well. You do not owe anybody any content. You do not owe anybody any amount of content. YouTube is just an entertainment platform. ASMR is not a replacement for mental health. Also really recommend putting that disclaimer in your description box or in your bio on your channel, etc. Just keep that in mind and explore your own boundaries, and it's okay to be firm with that. I know that some people are not going to like the way that sounded a little bit harsh or whatnot, but I have to be harsh in that to maintain that privacy. So keep in mind that online presence thing, you know? I think that's very important. Even if you have a very small community, you're still online. And I don't mean that in a way of like you shouldn't do this if your boss will be able to see or whatever, because I think that really shouldn't matter. But just about the personal information that you share, about people around you, maybe, or your area where you live. Like, just be conscious of what you are letting people in on your life. Very important. If after this video you have any specific questions about the content creation process, you can send me an email. Because like I said, as so many people have helped me, I would love to give back in some way. I will only answer emails, not DMs. Please be concise in your email. Don't email me every week, don't spam me. If I will reply, I will reply. If I won't, I won't. I might come back to it later. If I can and am able to help you, I genuinely would love to. You know, at the end of the day, we're all here because we love ASMR, and as creators, we're here because we love this creative outlet and the community, and I just hope that that will always be the driving force for you behind your creations and your presence here on YouTube. You do not owe anybody anything. Have fun, play around, screw up, learn. Just try a bunch of stuff and see if you like it. If you've never made a video before and you really, really want to, this is the time to do it. You have nothing to lose, truly. Literally nothing. If you are a new channel, comment below. Also, generally, if you made it this far into the video, comment a video camera emoji so then I can reply to you. And subscribe, like, and I will see you in my next video, which I promise will be ASMR, okay? Okay, bye! See you later!